Hello, how you doing? In this project we will see about Laravel API Sanctum integration with React Native. So at the end of this project we will cover all the following topics: Laravel installations, API route creations, migration, creating seeders and creating factory in the Laravel section, and so much more topics will be covered on the Laravel section. On the React Native section we cover about navigation stack screens, tab navigations, context management, connecting Laravel application with React Native using Laravel API Sanctum. So we'll cover all those topics. Now let's say about demo applications. So the demo application looks like this one. It have a simple landing page or home screen. Then we can register users. So here we can register user, and it contains validations, scroll bars. So let's click without giving a name. As we see, there is a validation and server-side validations. So the server protects from logging in. So let's give some name. First, let's check to the database. We have 50 users, so the last user is Jenny. Now let's register a new user. Test 5. Let's call it this one. The email is test5@example.com. The password is password. Now let's register. Click register. Here we see nice activity indicators, and it fetches the data from the posts API by using the API. So if we go to posts, we see almost 21 posts. And when we come to our form, we get the last updated body, as we see here. The body is updated body. So that is the page, and here we can see the logged in user and the email, and we can log out, or we can log in. So test. So let's refresh and see the user here in the users. So the last user is test5@example.com. Now let's log in. test5@example.com, and the password is password. So it's processing. So it enters into the result. So test 5 is logged in, as you see. So we can also just test it with random user. That is simply dummy data. Let's log out. Not this one. Login. Then the password is password. So as we see, we are logged in, and the user is Dr. Kaishawan. So that is it. So let's work together. Hello, how are you? In this section we will see about how to connect Laravel Sanctum with React Native applications. So let's see how to do that. First, let's work on the server side. So let's create a new folder here. Let's say it's native with Sanctum. Then inside this folder, let's create server folder. So I open the terminal. Then here I will install Laravel. So let's go to the browser. Then Google Laravel documentation. So let's go to the installation part. Then let's copy this command. So simply let's paste here. So change the name to dot, that is in the current directory, the name becomes server. So let's install it. So the installation is finished. So let's open the file. Let's go to desktop, then native Sanctum server. Then let's open terminal. And once we do that, let's open with native code, Visual Code Studio. So here is the project directory. Here we have the app directory, and here we have controls. And here, since we are making Sanctum API, let's see the config folder. Config folder contains the following files, but it does not contain a file called Sanctum. The other, when we see for routers, here we see only the web routing. So in order to install the API routing, we need to have to install the Sanctum. So in case you need the web routing or for security, let's first install the Breeze installation, then we will see it, the Sanctum installation. So let's first install initialize the application. So PHP artisan serve. So our file is started here. So as you see, the file is started and there is no other file. So here is our file. Now let's go to the documentation again and let's install Breeze. We do not need it, but for showcase, let's install Breeze for website security. So let's copy this one. So you see here, and let's go to again to the terminal and let's clear it. Let's install it. So the installation is finished for Breeze. Now let's go back to the home page. As you see here, there is no login screen, but now if we refresh it, so when we refresh it, we do not get the login screen. So let's go to the documentation again. Then let's go to this. So we have to install the Breeze again. We install the package, then we install the Breeze. So let's clear it and again let's paste it. So it's give us a choice to select the template. So let's say it's Blade or the default Blade. No, the default one. So as you see, the installation is finished. Now let's go to again and let's refresh it. As you see, we get the login and register. So before registering, let's modify some files on our database. So let's go to the .env file. Then let's go to this and let's uncomment it. Let's give a database name Laravel API native test. And let's save it. Let's change the SQLite to MySQL. Now let's go to localhost. As we see, there is no database API test. Let's copy the database name. Now let's create it. And there is no table inside this database. Now let's go back to the file and let's create a new node here. Then let's migrate file. So PHP artesian migrate. Now if you go back and refresh, we see tables. So here we get 9 tables. Now in order to register a user, simply see a user. There is no user. Let's go to this. Test user. The email is test@tester.com. Password, let's give it 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, let's read. So as we see, we already logged in. Now we can log out. Now, but I want to have a file or an API link. So this is a website and I want to have an API. In order to install the API, we need a Sanctum. So let's go to the documentation, then Sanctum. So let's scroll down. Here we get the PHP installation for Sanctum. So let's copy this and let's go back to our terminal. Now let's install it. So the installation is finished. Now if you go back to the config folder, we get a file called Sanctum. So this is the Sanctum configuration file, and when we go to the routes folder here, we get the API. Now here we can write our routes, API routes. Now let's go back to the documentation again. After that, it says that just scroll down. So in order to have an API we have to import this to the user model. So let's copy it. Now let's go to a model, users model. Then let's have here this file. Now let's import it. Here we import the file. Now our file is ready for the API integration. So in order to test the API integration, first just let's go to the routes folder, API. Here we can create a file. So routes get, then we can set the route for test, and we can say function request so let's return response, simply response file JSON having a message that is working. Now let's go to Postman. So I installed the Postman extension, so you can get it from this Visual Studio, then Postman. Here it is installed. You can install it here and you get here. So we can create our own collection, Postman here. You can create a collection and let's call it or rename it to native test. And this collection we can create a new request. And let's say the address is HTTP localhost 8000 API test we can send it directly. Now as you see, we get the API. So let's save this and let's give it a name, test API, and let's select the collection as native, then let's save it. So here we get our API. So if you want, you can send, and you can see the result, that is it's working, the status is 200. Now the next step is to create the controllers. So in order to create a controller, just let's open our PowerShell in Visual Studio. So let's clear it. Here, as you see in the app folder, there is a controls folder. In controls, there is out for the breeze. So now let's create our own API controller. So PHP artisan make control. Then the folder, let's create API folder. Inside that, let's create version 1. Then the controller name for login controller. Sorry, I made some space, so let's remove the space. Here it should be slash. Now let's give it. The controller is created with the API folder, version 1 folder. Inside that we get login controller. Now let's create another controller and let's rename it to let's remove this. The controller name is Logout controller. Another controller name, post for testing post data, post controllers. And for registration, let's have registration controller. Now if we go back to the end, we get 4 controllers: login controller, logout controller, post controller, and register controller. Now let's go to the login controller. Or first let's do it for registration controller, because the order is for registration, then for login. So in here let's create controller named store. So public function store, that's a request from eliminate request, then let's have some fields, that is name, email, and password. So request, first let's validate it. Validate. The name field, we need a name field. So we make the email unique string and the password required confirm. So we import these rules from validation. So let's import it here. Use illuminate, then validation, then rules. That's it. So the validation is finished. Then the next step is just to create a user. That is, let's import the user model and create. So let's copy this. Email and password. Let's have here we make it an array instead of object. Now let's create a token from a user object. Create token having a name of auth token, which returns to plain text token. Now let's return a data, which is a response of JSON having a name components or message. The token itself for authentications and purpose, and for user data, if you need it, we use user data. So that is the registration. Now let's see what we done. So we validate the data, which we make a name required, email required, and a unique password having some rules and confirmed, and we create the user. After creating a user, we create a token, then we return the user, created user. Now, in order to test this, we need to create a route. So let's create a route. So let's go to File, then routes folder. In the routes there is API. So let's create here route, that is get, and the file is register. Then here we create a controller. So register controller, let's import it. Here we import the register controller. Then let's class. Then in that class, in order to register, we hit the store method. Once we create the registered controller, let's go to the native API test in Postman. Let's create a new connection. Before that, make sure that here is a JSON node. JSON. That's it. So in Postman, let's create a new request. and let's call this register. Then in the body part raw, let's make it JSON, and here let's create, or let's paste this file. As we see, we have four fields: name, so test1, email, test1 at gmail.com, password, let me make it password, and in the headers, here we put the accept header and application, JSON, content type, header, application JSON. So we set this. Now we set the URL. Now we can hit send. Now as you see, 405 meter not download. Let's change this to post. Now let's hit send again. Now we get 200 status code. Now let's see the result. Here we get the message user registered successfully, the token, and the data we created. Now the user is created successfully. Now let's go to the browser again. Now if you refresh the user table, we get some users. So I created for test purpose. So we get this, the last user is the created user. So our API is working correctly. Let's set up the login API again. So now let's save this here by clicking save. The request name is register. Collection is native, and let's save it. So we have this register API. Now let's go to the controllers and let's finish the login controller. Now let's create function called public function store for login that request accepts a request. Now let's validate the credentials that come from the user. If there is no, let's import the auth. Here we import the auth from the facets auth. Then let's have use attempt. Then use request test only or attempt only, the email and password. So this function tests whether the given credentials are authenticated or not. So if it is not authenticated, let's return response JSON, then message of with valid credentials. And the status code of 401 or unauthenticated. But if it is authenticated, Then we create a user from auth facet. We access the user. We create a token for login. User, then create token. The token name auth token. That creates plain text token. Then after creating the token, we can send it, return, response with JSON. Having a message. Logged in successfully with user data. Now the login part is finished. Let's go to the routes and let's create route. So here, routes, that's post, login, and the controller is login controller, and the method we hit when we submit is store. That's it. Now let's go to customer. Let's create a new request. Here, instead of register, let's make it login. In the body, raw file, let's make it JSON. And here we create a name. Email. With empty value and password with empty value. Let's change the headers here, accept. Now everything is good. Now if we hit, we get errors. Let's change the method first, that is post. Let's hit. Now as you see, we get validation error. The email is required, the password field is required. Now let's go to the browser again. The email is test1@gmail.com. Let's copy this one. Let's paste it here, and the password is password. Now if we hit login, we get the user logged in successfully, and we should have to return, I think, the token. So let's correct that in the login register. And there should be a token also, because we need it for other purpose. Now let's save it and let's go and again test it. Now if we see, we get the token. So let's copy this token. Let's save this as save. login. Now we created already the login and the register APIs correctly. Now let's create another model. So in order to create, let's go back to the terminal, then the PowerShell. Let's create PHP Artisan make model, and the model name is post with migration factory and CDR. So let's hit enter. Now we create a model that have a migration file. So let's go to database. First, let's see the model. We get a post model. And let's go to database here, migrations. As we see, we create a post table having a minimum columns. Then if we go to the factory, we get post factory. So the /m/f and s are for seeder. And if you go to seeders, we get post seeders. So in order to feed dummy data, we need this factory and seeders. Now let's have some data columns on the migrations. Here we create table with string title for the post and table string with body of the post. That's enough for testing purpose. Now let's add this, the title and the body, to the model label. Here we create a variable that's protected and label. Besides this, the title and the body. If you do not fill this one, the Laravel API by itself protects us from sending data to the database. So we have to put this in the Laravel. So now let's go to factories. Here in post factory, in this part, let's add some data for title. We get a faker library that's fake, and we give it sentence of maximum 6 words. Then for body, we can give it the fake sentence of maximum 200. That's it. Okay. In the user factory, the Laravel by itself gives us this fake name, fake emails, fake password, having the name password. So that's enough. Now let's go to seeder, and in the post seeder, let's create here. Let's import the post model. Then inside this, let's create a factory of 10 data, or let's make it 20 posts. Okay, so it creates dummy 20 posts. Now in the database seeder, we initialize this. So let's rid of this and let's create our own. So user, then factory of 10 creates 10 users, then let's use this call for others. Let's use a seeder, post seeder. Let's import it here. The database seeder is import, post seeder, then class. So it initializes the post seeder directly from the database seeder. We can also create specifically by using this format, user, then factory. We can create many or one. Can have a name of test native. We can add another person. So we are finished. Here we create 10 users, and here we create specifically 2 users, so we get 12 users, and here we get 20 post seeders from the post seeder directory here, from here. So now let's save the file and let's create a migration PHP. So PHP Artesian migrates, can create this one. Now if you see the table API native test, we get 10 tables. Before we see 9 tables. When we install the Laravel Sanctum, we get 1 table that is for creating tokens. So when we log in, it creates these tokens again and again. So that is it. Now when I enter here, we get 1 table that is post table. Now if you refresh it, we get 11 tables and posts. That's it. Now the data is not fed on the table. If you see also the users table, we only have the previous 4 users. Now I want to have from the seed random data. So let's make it migrate, then PHP Artesian migrates, then fresh, that drops all tables and adds a new table. Then let's add with seed. As you see, let's see what's happened. It says data to long for column, body adds row 1. So let's correct some of the data. So as you see, if you go to the migration, and if you see here, we make it string. So let's change this to text. Now if we clear again, and if you run it, we finished with no problem. So let's refresh. We get 12 users, 10 random and 2 with intentional created users. Also, if we go to the post, we get 20 posts. Now let's go to the controller and finish the posts API. Let's minimize this. Let's go to controllers, API, post controllers. Now let's create here function. So let's a posts variable used to access post model. From that we use a collection all to access all data in the post. After accessing that, let's return response with JSON posts with posts data. That's it. Now we can access the posts data. In order to create this route, we go to the API. Let's call labs first. Let's go to routes API. Now we can create route get posts. Then the controller is post controller class, then index. But this post should be accessed with authorization. So let's give it authentication or authorization of tokens middleware, and let's say it auth sanctum. That's it. In order to protect it or guard with some protections, we use the auth sanctum. So let's save this. Now let's go to the postman here, native. Then let's create a new request. Now let's have this one. Then let's change it to posts. Now if the method is get, so we get this error, it is incorrect. So now let's correct it by going to header, and let's add here accept header with application JSON. Now if we hit send, we get the error, the message that is sent unauthenticated. So it needs some authentication because we put it here. As you see it in the API route, we put a middleware or Sanctum. We install Sanctum, so that guards or protects our route. So in order to log in or get the authentication, let's first go to Postman's login. Now let's get to the body. As you see here, there is no user in this name. So let's go to our database. Let's take one email user. Place this or this one. The password, and the password is password. Now let's hit send. User is logged in successfully. Now we get a token here, as you see, this one. So let's copy this, copy it, and let's go to the previous request, or let's add a new request. Okay, now let's go to posts, headers. We add a header, accept. Now then authorization. Here we change the authorization to bearer token. Then here we add bearer space, then paste the token. Now if you hit enter, boom, we get all the data. all 20 datas. That's it. So the posts route API, which is guarded, now we access it. Now let's finish the other posts or APIs. Let's save this one as all posts. Now let's create a controller for storing or creating a new post. So let's say it public function store. Let's validate the data that we accept from the users. That is the title. It should be required. And it is string having maximum of 100 words. And for the body, required strings and maximum of 500. That is for the validation. After validating, let's create a variable and let's import the model post model. Then let's create it. Create post. Request title. Body. Now we finish for the creation. Here we have to after that, after creating, let's return the data, response, JSON data, and message, post created successfully. And the post is, that's it. Now we create an API to create a post. So let's test this one. Let's go to first API and let's create a route. Routes, we make the meter post, the path is posts, then post controller class, then the method is, as we say, store, and this route should be also guarded. So in order to post, the user should be login. So we use Sanctum, this one. That's it. We finish the route. Now let's save this one and let's go to Postman. Let's create a new post. Then let's use API posts and let's change the method to post and let's save this one. Create post Now let's go to the body, raw, let's make it JSON. Here we make title. Sorry, we have to use quotation title. Test title about native Sanctum, and here we use body, test body part. Now if we go to headers and let's have a header, accept application JSON, and if you hit send, we get an authenticator because we do not give the authorization. So let's copy the authorization from I think from all posters. We use token there, so authorization from login. Let's send this one. I think we get this token. Now let's copy this and let's go to the create post. In authorization, let's change this to bearer token. Let's add bearer, and let's paste this one. Now let's save this for future use. Now if we send, we do not add this header, accept application JSON. Now if we put or hit send, now we do not feel also sorry, here we do not put. Now let's create the title here. Test title and the body. Test body, and make sure you add the bearer, headers, and the body with JSON format. Now the post is created successfully, as we see. And if you go to the database and if you refresh the posters, we get at the end the post title. So post creation API is also working, but for demo purpose, if you remove this, for example, if we remove this and let's save it, if we remove this token and save, and if we send it, as we see the status, it is an authenticator because we already removed the token. So we have to make sure that it is available, the bearer token is available, and if it is, we can access our data. Now let's go back to the post controller and create for fetching one post only. So public function show. So let's accept the ID. This is posts from post model find by this ID. So if there is no post, we return just an error with message no post found. Otherwise, or if it is available, let's return the post data with post. So that's it. We access the individual post. If there is no post, we respond with error code. Then, so let's save it. Let's go to the API and let's create a route. So routes. Then let's make it a gate. Hostess with ID, that is, we make it dynamic, then post controller, and show. So in order to access this also, we need a guard, that is old Sanctum. Now we finish the route. Now let's go to the API test. Okay. Now let's create new form. Here, posters, then ID. Let's access one. It is a gate. Then let's add a header. Sub, then the values, application, then JSON. Now, don't forget, you have to add with a bearer token. Let's copy it from a create post. And let's add it here. Now, if you hit send, as you see, we get the data or the available data. That is number one. If we change it to 50, there is no post number 50 or ID 50. We get message not found. Now let's save this API. Then it posts. Now let's create a route for deleting a post. So let's route. So the method is delete. The path is posters. Then we give it ID to be deleted. The controller is post controller. And the method name is destroy. It should be also guarded. Out Sanctum. Now let's create function for doing that. So let's go to post controller. Then here we create a destroy public function destroy that accepts the ID variable from the parameter. Then here we find posts. So find or fail. This is a method. Then it tests the post whether it's available or not. If it is available, let's delete it. That is it. And let's return response. Posts deleted. Now let's try to delete. So let's create a new request by go to the post map, then new request, this one, and let's change it to 22. Here we give the authorization, and in headers we give header with application JSON. Now let's go to the database first. As we see, if we refresh, we get similar data. So let's remove the last one, 22. So I give it 22. Now let's hit delete. Sorry. Here we have to change the method to delete. We hit another API. So the post is deleted successfully. If you go back and refresh, we get only the 21st data. So let's save this one also. Let's change the name to delete post. Now let's create function for updating. So before deleting, let's create function called update. Which have request, and it accepts ID. Now let's validate this, or let's copy the validation part since it is similar. Let's copy here on the update, let's paste it. And here, after that, we access post. Then let's use posts, called posts, updates with the data. So title, request of title, a body with request body. After updating, we send return response with JSON, post with the post, and having a message of post updated. Now we finish the part, we validate the data, we get particular post, then we update it. After that, we send a message back to the user. Now let's create the API, the routes. So we use puts or punch, so posts. Then let's add some thing we can add ID here, updates. Then we need also a guard, auth Sanctum. That's it. Now let's go to the API postman. Let's create a new request. Let's change the method to put, and here we use 21. Let's, and for the headers, let's add accept authorization. Make sure you make it bearer and you copy the access token. So let's copy it from another route. So let's log in first. And let's copy this token. Copy. Now let's go to the new one, or let's create a new one. Let's make it put authorization, and we make it bearer. Then let's paste it. Header, make sure that accept application JSON, and in the body select route, make sure it is JSON. Then let's add with title, with MPT, and body with MPT. Now if you try to send it, it is, as you see, an authenticator. Let's see it. Bearer or spelling grass. Bearer. Now let's send it. As you see, we get the title field is required and the body field is required. So we have to fill the data. Now let's give it updated title test and updated body. Now let's send it. There is no post on that 22, so let's change this to 21. Now we get the right data. Post is updated and the message is post updated successfully. If you go back to the user, now here it is. If we refresh it, we get the updated title and the updated body. That is all about APIs in Laravel. Now let's continue with the React Native section. Now let's create the React Native part. So let's go to desktop. Now let's create a new folder here. Then let's go to React Native documentation. So my connection is a little bit slow. Let's go to basics. I think yes, here we get the command npx create expo at later. So we create the application with the expo. So let's copy this one and let's go to the terminal and let's paste it and press enter. So the process starts. So the our application name, I call it client. So our installation is finished. Now let's change to client folder, cd client, let's clear it and let's open Visual Code Studio. So in order to test our application, let's open an Android Studio emulator. So Studio, let's open this. In order to install Android Studio, you can go to here Android Studio. So you can download it from here, the free version. After installing, just open the Android Studio. Here it is opening. So when first it opens, it looks like this. Go to more actions, virtual device. Make sure that first you installed necessary package by go to then as you see here I installed Android version 40 and Android version 12. So you can install whatever version you like. Make sure that it is latest. So after going to this SDK manager, in order to create a virtual machine, we go to virtual device. I already have two, but if you want to create, you can click here and you can create phones for your preference. So I use the small phone which is suitable for my PC. Now I can launch this. As you see, it is opening. Now it is still booting here. Once we create the emulator, let's see the directory structures. Here we have the app folder, which contains different files, JS6 files and JS files. So here we have boilerplate tabs folder with some files. Here we have assets for fonts, images. Here we have components and hooks. Here we have scripts if you want to have some script. So let's first test. So let's open a terminal here. Then in order to run it, let's say npm, as we see it in package.json. In order to run it, we use Android or iOS or start. So I choose the Android part since I use the Android part. So npm run Android. Now npm run Android and hit enter. It starts your application at the emulator using Expo. If it is the first time, it may be slow. Okay. You can install Expo for your phone and scan this QR code in your phone so that you can test it in your mobile. Otherwise, if you have emulators installed, you can use just in your emulator. Now, as we see, we get the welcome screen. So here we get the welcome screens in app folder. Then you can go to index and here you get the welcome. So if you now let's some space here for the emulator test app, and if you save it, the app will relaunch itself. So let's reload it. As you see, the app is changed to test app. So it can, this file, we access this file. Now let's remove all these things, we do not need it. And let's change it with a view that comes from React view, and having a text of that comes from React Native. Hello. And let's remove unwanted importers. Let's remove the styles also for the time being. Let's save this one, and it is refreshing, and we get hello. So that is it. Now we do not need this file, so let's remove all of them. Here's the tab folder. We delete it. We also do not need this layout and HTML files. Let's delete it. And let's also not found screen, just let's remove this with view. And having text from React view, no screen found. And let's make this style of a container. Styles.container. And let's import the text from React Native. And we do not need these files. And we do not need this link style for the time being. So we will save it later. Now let's create our own files. So once we remove all folders, let's create entry by using index.jsx. So here we can use the RA7 extension. You can install it for getting instant code to your code. So in order to use RNF React Native function, then we get code. Here we change it to hello with you. And let's change this to this one to index the timing. Now when we save it, we get hello at the top. Now let's have some style. So let's import style sheet create. Then let's say the container. For this container, let's have a width of 100%, that is flex one, and let's make it justify content center and align items at the center. So we get the text as the middle. So in order to apply it, let's say style here is equal to styles dot container. Let's make this one to styles. So when you save it, you get the text as the middle. Now let's create our own screens. So let's create a folder here inside the app folder, and I call it screens. These screens and let's create one folder that is home.jsx. Let's create RNF with Control Tab in order to get the hint. Then you get the boiler code. Now let's import safe area view from React Native. Only to use safe area, not title bars. Then let's add style. Styles dot container. We will create it. And let's add some views. And here let's create a style for style.logo. We put our logo here, text. So let's say our logo is Laravel API Sanctum, and let's multiply it. Let's give versus React Native. So let's add some style here. inline style. We use double curly brace, then text align to center, font size to 30, color to be white, and font weight to be bold. Or you can make it numbers, so you can give it number. For example, I can give it 600. So let's copy this one. Since I use similar, let's copy this and let's paste it here for the last one. And for the second one, let's copy this and change some. Let's add some style, font style. Italic. So here it is. We create the first one and let's add some contents there. Styles.card for showing pressable buttons. So let's add pressable from React Native. Make sure that you import it from React Native. And let's add style for this pressable. So styles.button. We'll give it later. And on press. For the time being, let's make it just alert. Let's import it from React Native .alert. Hello world. So inside that, let's add some text. Which says register button, or which direct us to the register button. Let's add another pressable to login screen. I think that is enough for the time being. Now let's install necessary packages. So in order to install, let's add a new terminal. The first package we need is Axios in order to connect our Laravel API with React Native application. So we install Axios. And the second one is Expo linear gradient. So we need this for creating gradient color styles. The third one is Expo secure store, which is to store our token that comes from the server in our phone securely. The fourth one is navigation, React navigation, used to create a navigational screen between different screens. And the fourth one is React Native vector icon. So we install all this now. So let's go to first install Axios. So npm Axios. Axios is installed successfully. So we can see it here in package. JSON. So development. So here we see Axios is installed. Now we need React navigation for our purpose. So let's go to the terminal again. And let's go to this. First, let's install React gradient. So Expo linear gradient. So you can go to this one, Expo documentation, Then you can copy this and you can come to this one and paste. So the linear gradient is finished. To the browser again and search for in the Expo documentation secure store installation. So here is the command to install. Let's copy, go to the terminal. Now in order to navigate, we need stack navigation. So let's go to the browser, hit the search, stack navigation. So let's back. Installation. So it redirects you to React navigation. Then, so in order to install React navigation, you go to the React native documentation, then hit the search, then React navigation. So here we get the installation, React navigation native and native stack. So we copy this and we hit. So the installation is finished. Let's clear our screen and let's install another package which is used for icons. So in order to install the React Native icons, we use this command, simply React Native vector icons, then hit enter. So we finished installing all necessary packages. Now let's continue to the next section. Now let's finish the home styles. So let's go to the bottom and let's add some styles here. Const style style sheets, sorry, we import it from React Native .create. Then let's create for container and let's give it a background color of aqua. So here we give a display flags, align items and justify content to center, and to take the whole width with height, we give flags of 1. That's for the containers. And for logo part, that's for the logo part. For the buttons here that we create, pressable buttons. And for the text inside the button, so let's add a linear gradient. Then we install one of the packages. So in order to apply some linear gradients, we use a linear gradient. I think before that, let's create another page. So let's save this one and let's inside the index, that is the entry point index, let's create some navigations. Now inside the entry index file that is outside of the screens, as you see, we replace all the files with a new code. So we create with navigation container, which imported from React Native navigation. So here we import this one. Then let's make this one give. Now inside this, let's create a stack of screens. So in order to make that, let's first create a stack. Outside of the function, let's import const stack. This stack comes from the create stack navigator. So this file comes from React Native. Let's import it here. Import create stack navigator from React Native, React navigation, not native, from stack. That is it. Now this stack will be used at the bottom. So here we say stack dot navigator and let's close to this one, stack dot navigator. So in order to find the documentation from here, we can go to React navigation. So you can put here, so navigation, you can get how to use that navigation stack. Here it is. So we create navigator, then we can create series of our number of screens. So the first screen to be loaded here is the home screen, for example. So the same way we create our own stack navigation. So let's create stack screen dot screen, and the name is home, and the component is home, which comes from screen home. So let's import it. As you see, we import it from home. Now we can set options, header shown. We do not want to show the header, so we make it false. That's it. Now if we save it and return back to our emulator, let's go back to install React Navigator. We go to React Native, then search for React Navigation. After searching that, we find this navigation between screens. Then let's copy this and let's paste here. After installing that, let's go back to the installation. Then, since we are using Expo, we need to install these dependencies. So let's copy this. Let's go back there and let's install React Native screens and React Native safe area context. We done installing React navigation. So let's go back to the project and let's go to package.json. You see we have the stack, the native and native stack and native. Now so on the index page, as we see, we create a navigator container and we create stack navigator from React navigation stack. Then now let's rerun our application. So if you reload our application, so let's press A on the terminal for reloading again on the Android device. So here in the home screen, as you see here, we put font size in string. That is wrong, so let's remove all strings and let's give it a number simply. Let's save it and let's reload the application. So as you see, the page is loaded. It looks like a little bit ugly, so we will correct it. So let's save it here and let's go to this index. As you see, we use the first screen, that is the home screen. Now let's create another screen. So let's create the register for this button, register.jsx. Then let's rename. We get the boilerplate code, so let's create some styles now. Safe area view. Let's expand it for the time being from React Native. Safe area view. And let's give it a style with having a flex of 1, padding of 20, and background of color of aqua. And let's create a scroll view for user inputs. Inside this we create user inputs. We import it from React Native. Make sure that it is imported. And let's add some property here. Show vertical scroll indicators. It's called false. Inside this, let's create text having style. Of margin top 50, text align, center, font size 20, font weight, bold, color of white, and simply this text is user registration. Now below this, let's create text input from React Native. Then placeholder. Let's give placeholder name, full name. Placeholder text color of white. Let's give it a value for name. We'll create it. It is a use state or a state on change text. Set name. And let's have some styles for this also. In the next line, style, border width of 1, margin bottom, border radius 5, margin top of 10, and the color is for white, or it is not necessary. That's it. That is the first text box. And the second level, let's copy this one and let's change this one to email, and let's change the value to email, set email. And for the third one, password, let's copy again this one, that is password, set password. And the fourth one, for confirm password, set password confirmation. And let's change this for password, this for confirm password. And lastly, let's create teachable opacity button, opacity from React Native, on press. For the time being, let's simply create alert from React Native, alert, hello. That's enough. And for styles, let's add some line style, margin vertical of 10, border radius of 10, and padding vertical of 10, with background color hash 007 BFF. That is for teachable opacity. And let's create a text inside it. Text having a style of font size 20, text align center, and the color of the text to be white. Text is for register. That is enough. Let's create states, const name and set name. We import use state and make sure that you import it from React. Let's copy this and let's change to email. So we create states for the 4 text fields. Now let's correct this and let's save it. Now let's go to the home and let's see. As you see, the screen is still disgusting. So as you see in the logo style sheet, we make the height of the logo view the 100. Let's make it 50% and let's save it, and it is a little bit good. Now when we hit the register button, I want to take me to the register screen that we created. So let's go back to the index and let's add a new screen here. The name of the screen is register and the component is register. Let's import it from screens register. Now we correct we add the new register screen, and let's add in the home button, let's add some navigation. Instead of alerting, now if you click here, we get an alert that we need to navigate to the other screen. So it is easy. Just we need to import const router. We need to use router. Then we use router hook from Expo router. So let's import this. After that, let's change this to, let's replace with this router dot push to screens. That is where the register screen found screen. Then the name of the file is register. That's it. And let's make this function. Now we save After refreshing, if we click now, as you see, we go to the register. That is good, and the scroll view works correctly. Now let's create another screen, that is login screen for the login part. If we press here login, as you see, it is an alert. Let's create the login screen. Inside the screens folder, let's create a file. Let's call it login.jsx. Now let's create a new safe area view. As you see, safe area view used to maintain the status at the top, so we only get at the safe area texts. So safe area view, let's give it some style, flex of 1, justify. Let's create scroll view from React Native and make sure that there is no horizontal. Show vertical scroll bar to false. And let's create here a view, a container view for holding the text. Let's add some style. So we create a label for the email field for login. Then let's create text input. So on change text, it goes to accept to set value and set it to set email to v. Then having a style, border width of 1, margin bottom of 15, padding of, let's give it numbers, border radius of 5, and color of whites. This is for the input fields. Let's copy this to and let's paste it. Now let's change this to password, and let's change this also email to password. Now finally, let's create teachable opacity for login. We can copy from the register and let's paste it. Having a teachable opacity, when we press it, it gives hello, alert, and margin, vertical, border radius, and background color are given. So let's save this. I think that is enough for now. Now let's go back to the home screen, and here let's change to the path. That is, when we click the login button, browser dot push to screens, then login. So let's go back to register. Now let's hit login. It shows us some error. Safe area view does not exist, so we do not import it. Let's import this from React Native. So CUC text input also is not imported. Let's import also touchable opacity and other. I think we are safe now. Now if we press login, we go to the login screen. So these are the input fields. So let's change this to login. So let's correct some of typo errors. Here border width is capital, and here also width W should be capital. And let's save it. As we see, there is a border width. So let's add some gradients for making the screen more appealing. Let's create some gradients, change the background. So let's import linear gradient. Then we use colors. Here we give color value of arrays, that is hexadecimal array 50 dB 50 D5 B7 for the first color. The second color hash 06 7D 68, and it should be transparent. And let's apply some styles dot background. Now let's define this. I just simply paste, or let me write it, const style sheets dot create. Let's define background, and properties, position, absolutes, left of 0, right of 0, and top starts from 0, height of 100%. So which means from the top 0 to the bottom 0, it takes the whole height. So let's save it. Now let's go to login. So it says transparent is not, it should be in quotation. Let's go to login. As we see, the color or background looks better now. Now let's copy this and let's take it to the register also, and let's also bring the style at the bottom, and let's import this from React Native. The same way, import the gradient from React Native, React Expo gradient. Now if we go back, and if we go back to a register, as you see, the page looks very beautiful now. The same way, let's move to home, and let's change this one also. Okay, let's add here the background only. Let's bring and let's import it from Expo, linear gradient. Now if we go back, as you see, the page looks very attractive now. Now let's apply this style for the button text, as you see here. Style is equal to styles dot button text. Let's copy this to both of them. Let's paste it. Here, remove the extra curly brace. Now we get the button. It looks better now. So here we have a register button for registration. Here we have a login for login. Now let's create some protected pages for React Native. So inside the apps folder, let's create a new folder called tabs. Inside this, let's create a layout file underscore layout.jsx. So this layout will be a tab-based layout file. So let's create this. Then let's change the file name to tabs layouts. Then let's import some file from the React navigation. So import, create bottom tab navigator, from @React navigation, then bottom tabs. That's it. Now let's create a bottom tab, const tab. This is to create bottom tab at the end of the form. Create bottom tab navigator. Now once we do that, let's create a tab inside the tabs layout. So we use tab.navigator. So inside this tab navigator, we create two tab screens. Tab.screen having a name of front. We will create it having components, name of font. It will be created, and let's set the options. Header shown, let's set it to false. So now let's copy this file, and let's change this to profile, and the component name to profile. Let's correct the typo component. So we create a tab navigation. Now let's create the two screens for front and profile. So let's create first a front.jsx. That is enough. For profile, let's create profile.jsx. Rename. That's enough. Then let's go back to the layout file, and let's import the file. Make sure that you import it. The same way, import the profile. So now we create the two tab navigations, the front and profile, having simple texts, front and profile. Now let's add some icons for this tabs navigator. So in order to add that, let's go to the React navigator, then search tab navigation. Then at the bottom, you will get some code snippets. Copy this one and paste it in your code. Come to your opening tag, paste it. Now let's modify it according to our needs. Just here we need route name of front, not home, since our route is front. Then change this to home. If icon name is focus, then we make it home. Otherwise, we make it home outline. That is simple. If it is profile, we make it person. Or it is not focused, we make it person outline. That's it. So here, if it is active, it becomes tomato, otherwise it becomes gray. That is used to make some icons at the bottom of the tab navigation. Now after that, let's go to the other screens. That is a login screen or register screen. Then in the register screen, now if you go to register button, if we click it, an alert, simply we get alert. So instead of this alert, let's change it to this, the route 2. Let's use router.push to tabs. So let's first import the router. And here let's import const router. Use router. We import it from the Expo router. Also let's import navigation. From Expo router. Now when we click this button, instead of this, let's call for handle register. Handle register. Simply we call this method and let's handle this const handle register. Then it simply navigates through navigation.navigate to the page name or route name front. So let's test it. Now when we click it, once it is loaded, let's restart, test it for, make sure that in the register we change the navigation into router.push tabs, so it goes to the tabs directory and it loads the layout. So let's, and before that in the layout, make sure that you import the icon. So let's import it. Import icon from React Native ion icons. Ion icons. It's not named, it is default export. And make sure that you change here the type error, instead of plus, make it false. That's it. Now let's, it is refreshing. Now let's test it. So simply let's hit register. So it says ion icon does not exist. Let's say, make sure that the ion icons are ion icons here, the type, and import it from React Native vector icons, ion icons. So save this one. Let's test it. Click register. So we go to the front page. As we see, the active page is on orange, tomato, and the inactive one is on gray. So if we make it active, the profile, it turns into tomato. Now in this page, in the front page, I want to access some files or posts that we made from earlier versions in Laravel version. So let's create first a way to access those files. Now in order to access those posts from the Laravel, let's go to the front. Let's change this the entire into some safe area. View from React Native. Then let's change it to text, having a style of font weight. It is bold, and font size of 50. Let's say simply posts. Later on, let's create a post list component that accepts posts and sends to data.posts, having a style of margin top of 5 and flex of 1. Simply, this is a component, and we will create this component in the root folder. So let's create inside the component folder. Let's delete all these files because we do not need it. Now we create our own file. That's posts list.jsx. Inside the post list, let's create this file and let's adjust some styles. So let's give it style of styles.postList, style sheet from React Native, create post list, make it flex 1, padding of 20, and margin vertical of 10, and we create for a list. For each list, make a flex of 1, background color of white, padding of 10, margin of 10, and so we set up all the styles, necessary styles. Now let's work on that. So here, remove the extra curly brace, and let's import flat list from React Native. So data that comes from posts, we will accept it here as a prop, and we render item index, having view of keying with item.id, style, styles.list, this is the parent view. Then inside this, let's add some text, having a style of style.title for the title, and the element is item.title. For body, let's have text, having a style of styles.body, and the text is item.body dot slice. Let's slice it to 0 to 100 or 200 characters. After that, just let's have some dots. This is some, let's format it. That is for the posts. We will save it next. Now let's go back to the front page. Inside this front page, let's fetch from our backend API. So let's have some states, data, and say data. Use states. Make sure you import it from React. And let's have token. We'll make a token later, say token. Use state. Let's first set it to null. Now in order to fetch the data, let's use the use effect hook from React. Import it. So it loads when first loads, it fetches. Let's have some fetch data. Async method used to fetch the data. So for the time being, let's, before working on tokens, let's just first fetch the data. So const response awaits Axios. We will import it from our created Axios instance. Then here API address. So here we put some headers. Yes. So let's put IP address here. Here we put not the local host or 127. Instead we use our own IP address. So let's go to the command prompt and find out the IP address, ipconfig. Here as we see, the IP address is 192.168.56.1. So let's copy this and paste here. And the port number is 8000. Then API, then posts, that is our address. And let's import Axios from Axios. Then here we have headers. Then here we put headers. So accept application JSON. And here we put authorization. For we use a backtick error. Then we put response. So this response comes from the token. So let's create this token. Here we create const, let's create try catch. Inside this, let's put it this. Now before that, let's create const res is equal to awaits get token. We will create this method. So used to fetch the token from the phone or our secure store. Now, after getting the tokens, let's set token raise After accessing this response file, let's set data into response.data. Otherwise, let's console.error. That is for the console. So if there is error to fetch the data, we console log the error. So that is the end of method. Let's call fetch data, and let's create some styles for this area. So const and styles, style sheet, dog crate, for container for the safe area. Let's make it a display of flex. Align items of center, padding vertical of 10. Now let's apply here the styles. Styles.container. Let's save the post list. Let's import it to this. We import it from here. Now let's create a service for storing our tokens. When we log in or register, it first saves the token. So in order to create it, go to the root tab, root folder, then create a folder called services. Inside that folder, let me create a file name called token services.js file. Then here we import all as secure store from Expo secure store. We install it earlier. So let's create a function, export const set token. It is a thing. It adds a new token. And it saves it in the secure store or local storage. Secure store dot set item async synchronously. The token name is token and the value is new token. That's it. Let's use it to save the token. The other is to fetch the token from the local storage. So it gets the result. Then if there is a result, return result, otherwise else return null. So that is for getting the result. The other is export const delete token. So let's results is equal to await secure stop dot delete token item, delete item asynchronously. The name is token. So make sure that here the name token is similar to what we set in the set token, and make sure that you make it async here. That's it for get token and set token. So in the front, I think get token. Now we can import it. That's it. We import, and that is for now. Now let's correct it in the login screens. So let's go to register screen, and in the register screen we correct or add some database codes. Now inside the registration screen, let's add some states. That is for loading, that checks for loading, set loading. Let's make it false for the initial value, and for if there is error, let's make errors, one or more errors. Now let's create a function called register. That accepts data, and it returns Axios dot host. We send it with register. So instead of writing all the URLs, we can reuse this, and if it's necessary, we use the full path. So here is the register function, and this register function comes from and this register functions Axios. This one is not comes from the Axios. Instead, it comes from the service. So let's create inside the service folder another file, and we call it api.js. So import Axios lib from Axios, and here we create our own Axios instance. Axios lib dot create. Inside this, let's define a base array. That is the default one. It is HTTP 192.168.56.1, the port number, your port number, and the API, and some common headers. Accept application JSON. So this is just an Axios instance, and let's import this one from Git. So now we can import it from import Axios from add services. Yes, we have to export it. I need to export default Axios. That's it. Now services, or let's say one more, then we get service, and that we get API file. So we import it from this file. After importing, let's add some error labels. So let's add an expression, and if there is errors, then we render a text having color of red, font size of 10, and the text is errors.name. So let's copy this line for the other text fields, for the email also, and change this to email, change it to password also. And if there is, when you hit the register button, and if there is a loading state, so loading, we render the activity indicator from the React Native. Size is larger. Otherwise, we render simply empty text box. So let's make it ternary operator instead of. Now, if we press register, let's handle some data here. So we have to check that if email or name is equal to null, so if all these are null, we give simple alert. We query fields. All fields are required. Otherwise, let's have a try catch. So we set loading state to true, then const response that we get from register, that this register comes from this one, and this one access the Axios from the service class. So register, we give the relative path, that is register, instead of typing all necessary things. We only give this one because we define it on the API. Name is name, that is defined from, comes from the state. Email, that comes from the state also. Email dot, let's change it to lowercase. Password confirmation comes from password confirmation state. So make sure that the handle register is async. Then after loading this, we put set loading to false and wait set token. We say the token and import this one from service response dot data dot token. Then we can navigate to navigate to front, the page we define, and if there is some error, let's log it, response error, having of response error dot response, console.log, another console.error, e.response dot data. So we get the error data. So let's remove this one. The first one is enough, and set errors e.response if it is available data, if it is available with errors. Set loading false. So here we see the errors for the state, these states, then this state will be accessed inside here. Now, in order to test this, we have to open the server-side API, then go to the terminal. Inside the terminal, PHP, artesian serve with -- host. The API is 192.168.56.1, the port number 8000. So let's change this. Our server is started at the PC API address. Now we can test the login or register. So let's go to the client side. Let's reload it. So before testing the app, first let's have some additional code. If there is a response only, we execute this code. So if you get the token, then you can post data. Now let's go to there. Let's click register, MPT value. The alert is displayed. Then the server side is working. As you see, it shows some error message. Now let's add some data. Test 1, 2, email. Test 1 to add test.com, and let's scroll it. Password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We will correct this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Click register. Make sure that the router.push file is commented, and here we do not need this since we already put it here. At the post, we put the path that is register, and the data, it will be sent from here. So let's save it. Then let's MPT the data. Now let's hit register. As we see, we get the server-side error. Here also we get the server-side errors. So it's working for the server side. Now let's check by feeding data. First, let's see the server-side. First, let's see the server-side data that is for the users. Let's go to API native. There is only 21 users. Okay, there is only 12 users. So let's add one from the client side. So test user, then user@gmail.com. Let's give it a password to 8, 1 to 8. Now let's click register. So it's already registered. We will correct this one. We have a routing in front. We change it to the route. Then if we go and refresh this, we get a new user. So let's correct the script here. Instead of navigation, we can use router. Let's comment this one. Tabs. Let's go on. Front is the first, it selects the first one. So let's add user 1, user1 gmail.com. The password, let's leave it similar. So as you see, we are directed to the front page. Now let's finish the login page and we'll come back. Now open the login page and let's add some server-side logics. So let's import router, hook use router from Expo router. Make sure that you import it. Const navigation from Expo router also. Then let's add some states. Const email, set email, use state, const password, set password. Also make sure that you import user state, and this is for logins, the other for user interface loading, set loading, const login token that comes from the server, set login token, const errors if there is, set errors, make it empty object. Now let's create a login method, const login, then it accepts data, and let's import it from service class, the Axios instance, then post login, then we pass the data. That's it. Now when we hit the button, let's call a handle login method instead of alerts. Handle login. Now let's create this method, const handle login. Inside this, let's capture the data from user input. So if email from state is equal to empty, or password is equal to empty, let's give alert for the user, alert from React Native dot alert, all filters required. So the data, that's it for the alert. Then if it is not empty, let's have some try catch, and let's set loading to true for displaying the loading or activity indicators. Then const response, let's declare await login, then we send the data email dots to lowercase, password to password. Then after accessing or sending this data, let's set loading to false. Then let's access the set the token, set token. Let's import it from service token. Then response dots data and dots token. So this token we will get it from the login. when we log in, it returns the server some tokens. These tokens will be stored on the phone's local storage by using secure token storage. Then let's push to, after that, let's set login token. This is for client-side access. Router.push to tabs. So if it is correct, the page will push us to the tabs directory. Then console. Otherwise, if there is error, let's put set loading false, and we set errors with e.response .data .errors. So this will be displayed on the screen. Set loading, set it to false. So here, make it true. Now let's adjust some view in the view area. Let's add some labels for the errors. So below the email, let's add some expressions. If there is errors, then let's render a text having a style of color red and font size of 14. That's it. Now let's show the error. Errors.email. That comes from the server side. The same way, let's put it for the password and change it to password. And if there is a loading after the teachable opacity, if it is loading, let's show activity indicator. Otherwise, let's render empty text. Then if there is a general error without emails or passwords, let's show it at the bottom with text style of, let's import it, or sorry, copy this one here, errors dot message, or make it expression. So that's it. I think we finished the login part also. Now let's reload the page and let's try to log into the page. So let's open the terminal, reload the page, press R. So after reloading, we get this one. So let's go to login page. Let's import the user. So let's bring it from this one. So this is user at gmail.com. Then the password is 1234567 I think this is one with the password. Or let's try it with empty first. All fields required. Then we get some validation, server-side validation. If we go to the server, and I think we are running it on the IP as you see. So let's get hit. All fields are required. So now let's fill some forms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and let's hit login. Now it redirects us to the front page. So we finish the login part also. Now let's fetch some data from posts by using the front. So in the front side, just when we type, we include the set data outside of the curly brace. So let's copy this one and let's make it behind. So set data should be inside the if test. Now let's save it. After refreshing, we get some data here. as we see, the data is same. Now we need, as you see, the last data we input is here, update body. Now I want to destroy the token. So in order to destroy the token, let's go to the profile sections. Then here in the profile sections, let's set some settings. Let's have some styles of container, styles row user info. So inside this user info, let's create two text fields having a style of styles dot name that have user name, and let's copy this one that shows user email, and let's add some logout button as the touchable opacity from React Native. Let's add some style sheet, styles dot logout button. On press, let's add some handle logout. Then the text inside this is simply logout, and let's add some styles here at the bottom. Const styles style sheet dot create container flex of 1, justify content of center and align items center, padding of 20, margin top of 20, background color of light blue, or let's make it red, text color of white, border radius of 50, width of 25 pixel percent, then align items center. That is for the button. Let's import this style sheet from React Native. Now let's fetch the data. So let's import some data, const user or loading from user context. We will create context, user context. So not user, use context here, and let's import it from React here. Now, if it is loading, we return simply activity indicator size of large. That's it. If it is not, we handle logout. So simply let's have try catch block, const token here is equal to await get token that comes from the service used to access the saved token. Then if there is token, make sure that it is async. If there is token, then we await Axios. We import it from Axios, not the library we created. Dot post. Then we give the IP address, the full IP address, http://192.168.56.1 8000/API/logout. We'll create this on the server side. Then the data is empty, we send empty object, and the header is we send headers. So here inside this we will have headers that have accept of application JSON and having authorization token of bearer use backtick token. That's it. Now After finishing this, let's await and delete token. Let's import it from service because we do not need it anymore. And let's push the page to the home page. Screens dot home. Now once we create the logout page, let's create, if there is a problem for logout, so let's import this one, make sure import it, then alert logout failed, unable to log out. That's enough. Now let's create a file, a folder in the root folder. Let's collapse it and let's create context folder. This is to store a file. Every time we reload the application, whether you log in or not, it come back to the login page or the home page. So we do not need that. If there is a token, it should direct us to the home page or front page. Otherwise, it should redirect back to the login page or the register and login page. So that is, to do that, let's create this context folder. Inside that, let's create a file, user context .js. Now let's, instead of writing, let's paste the file and let's describe it here. So here we create a create context that's import from the React, and we create here two states, one for accessing the users, storing the users, and one for showing the status. Then we create inside the use effect, when it loads the use effect, so the fetch user data is called. Then we access the token, and after accessing the token, if there is a token, we access the user, and this user will be stored on user state here, and this is state. Now after that, we create a token and user context the provider. We give it a value user and loading that we access it in the profile. As you see here in the profile section, we access the user and loading that we come from the user context, and we put children. Now that is the user profile. So we export the user provider in order to enclose other children's. So here we have a user provider class, then it accepts the children probes, so all other elements. So let's go to the tabs. Now let's enclose it with user provider. User provider from the context class, as you see, and let's enclose all the data. Now let's go to the app folder, then index, that is the entry point. In the index, let's access the token. So let's get some token, say token, then use state, import it from React, make sure that you import it, and let's have some router, use router, navigation, use navigation. Now let's have some effect when it loads the context, the first page, the entry point. Let's fetch some data. Const fetch token. We fetch the token, I think, from our local file. So get token, that is from service class. Then set token to raise the token state. After that, let's just call fetch token, and let's make it for the first reload only. Now if we have a token, let's create some expression around it. If there is no token, we reload, we put here these two files, copy this and let's put it here. So if there is no token, we do not go to the tabs directory. But if there is token, now we can create a new stack dot screen having a name of tabs layout, and component tabs layout. So make sure you are importing and add the options. So just copy this one, simply add here, and that's it. Now we enclose the stack navigator above that. So here we fetch the token. After fetching the token, if there is no token, that is, the token is null, we direct to the home page or register page. Otherwise, we direct to the page that we call it tabs layout, that is the protector layout. So let's create another. We can also create login. We can import this login page. Now we totally finish the client side. Let's add logout functionality on the server side. So make sure that you import the login. As we see, since there is a token without login, it directly pushes to the token. Now we have here an error because we do not implement the user context. So let's go to profile, tabs, then profile, user context. Let's import it from the user context. Now if we save it, also we get error, there is no user. If we navigate to the login, so let's go to server side. So open the logout controller. Inside that, let's define a method public function logout request. Then let's request current user, then current token. It will be provided by Sanctum access token. Then let's delete this token. That's it. And we can return response having JSON message user revoked. So let's save with this. Now we can test this one by going to first let's add some route API for this logout. Route post, then /logout. The controller is logout controller class, and the method name is logout, or the function. In order to log out, the user should be logged in middleware. Make sure that it is out Sanctum. So let's test the API. Let's log in first. With this user, we log in. Okay. Let's correct the IP address since we changed it 192.168.1.56.1. So user is logged in successfully. So let's take this token and let's create a new logout. And the path is logout. And the authorization, make sure that you have this mirror. And we do not need the body, headers, let's accept application JSON. Now let's send it. So the get method is not supported, let's change it to post because the route is for post. So let's update this one to the list. It's a typo. Now let's go back and let's send it. So as you see, the result is revoked, which is it is working. So let's go back to our client side. In the logout controller, we create the logout access token, then we make sure that it is deleted. After that, the message will be sent back. Now let's go back to the login register, having a name here, earlier created usernames, and make sure that it is the IP is changed. Then let's log in. We get a token, then let's copy this token and let's create a new request. Logout. For authorization, we create bearer. And for headers, it is accept application JSON. Now let's log out. Of course, we get error because the method is get. So let's change it to post. So here the user is revoked. Now let's go to the login. So let's log in and we use the same credential. So let's fill native at sanctum.com and the password is for password. Let's log in. So we are already logged into the result. The result data is fetched, and here we get the user information. So the logout button and user information. So if we go to the client side, so as we see earlier, this is the final look of our application. Let's improve or have some modification. For example, here when we write the password is in clear text. So in order to change that, we use secure text entry. So let's change that. For the login part, let's go to login, and for the text input, add secure text entry. Secure text entry. That's it. Now, if you test for the password now, it becomes in secure text only. So the other is for register. For register page, if we return back and go back to register, as you see, the text is written in black, so it is a little bit invisible. Also, the password is for in clear text. So let's improve that. Let's add some color for the registration page. So here in the register user text box, let's add color of white. for all text input fields. For the password, for the email, let's also add it. So that's it. Now let's add some secure text entry for the passwords. Here let's add secure text entry. Let's also add for the password part secure text entry. Now let's save it. Now if we type here, the text is in white and the password is in white and secure with dots. So that is the improvement for this part. Now let's test this by registering. So let's test this by inputting empty value. As you see, there is activity indicator and there is also a message from the server. Now let's change the color of the activity indicator by simply adding color to white, and let's test it again. So that is the activity indicator. That's good, it looks good. Now let's register one user. So John Doe, or let's give Jenny the name, and the email is jenny@example.com. The password is password, and then let's register. So as you see, the user is registered and successfully fetch the data from the API. When the application loaded, if there is a token inside the phone's storage, it directly loads into the posts list. So let's see it. Here we see the application is loaded. So when it loads, it checks for the token and it directly loads into the post list. The other minor improvement is when you go to the profile page, you get the logout page. So let's change the text color to white. Then let's go to profile page and let's change here the logout button text color to white. For the text, here style, then color is white. Now when we save it, we get a white. It looks good, but as we see here, we fetch data, that is the username and email, and we did not see such data. So in order to see this, let's go to the context, user context, and here we pass response.data.user. So let's remove .user. Simply let's pass user only. Now we see Jenny is logged in. So let's log out Jenny. That's all about our applications. So that's it.